Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining me. So I'm back with the altered book. If you remember, this is the page spread that we did last time. So now we're on to this page here, which this is going to be a relatively simple collage type page. But I am going to add a pocket. So I imagine this video will be quite quick. So I've gone ahead and torn a couple of pages. So I've gone with more neutral colours for this one. So the theme for this page spread and the next page spread is coming towards the end of summer and finding that the weather has cooled down a bit. So now we can go on our countryside walks, just like earlier in the year. So far my summer pages have been very much geared towards like being in the garden, because I find that when it's hot I don't really want to be out on long walks, definitely not in any kind of heat wave. But now, coming towards the end of summer, it's a time for us to get back out into the countryside, so that is my theme. And I've gone with more neutral colours. I don't know if I already said that, but I'm going with more neutral colours for this page and the next page, because towards the end of summer things start to sort of die off. We've got, fall and autumn is on the way, and it's that sort of vibe of things starting to, sort of die off a bit, die back a bit. The flowers and stuff become a bit more muted maybe. So I thought I would try and replicate that in the page spread. So I've got my neutral colours, and then I had a bit of a boo-boo, as I always do with tearing paper. I don't know what it is, but I cannot ever get it to tear like how it should. So what I'm going to do is put this book page in, which is still, neutral, but it also reminds us that this is an altered book after all. As much as I'm covering up the original text, the main reason being, by the way, if anyone did wonder, is because this book is not a very nice subject. So frequently I will see words where I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to keep that in a nice journal. Detracting from the nice artwork we've been doing and stuff. So that is why I've been covering up the pages. So if you see any words, ignore them. They are not going to be there for very much longer. So now I just want to grab some scissors and just cut around that. I didn't tear this book page that I've just added because I wanted it to be I wanted it to mimic how the book would look, so with the straight edges and things. That's what I was thinking. So I'm going to go around and just tidy up these edges as best I can without cutting into the actual book. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to go around and just make sure those pages I've just stuck down are definitely glued all the way down. So I'll just be a moment. There we are, that's how we're looking. So yeah, I really like this book page. It really does look like it's sort of morphed into this paper, whereas it's kind of the other way around. And look, the original page had this red on it, so it's given me like a red and brown border around the map, which is kind of cool. All right then, so the fun part. So I've got this from a book, Birds in Their Nest, which I would quite like to have on this map page. And I want it to be some kind of pocket. I originally thought it would be a belly band if I were to glue the two sides here and here like this. But because we've got this little bird's tail, I do think I will need to glue that down. So I'm actually thinking it will be more like a little tuck spot like that instead. Not with that, but just with something in it. So let's go for that. I've inked around all of my pieces already, so don't have to do that part. So first things first, I'm going to make sure that tail is glued down. Okay, lovely. So I'm going to use that as my guide as to where I'm going to glue. So I'm just going to follow it around this side and the bottom. Come in a little bit as well, just to give it a little bit more oomph. And I'm just going to glue this little bit here. So I've sort of done a little curve around like so. Yeah. and then I'm going to pop that down right in the middle is where I wanted it. So we will get a nice little tag coming out of there. So let's just see. Something like that. Yeah, perfect. That's the sort of size I was thinking. So that works perfectly nicely. If I just actually let it glue down before poking around with it. So that's what I've got there. And I've got some bees for this other page because I'm thinking bees are still buzzing round towards the end of the summer. And then just to tie in that book page, I've got this label, because you can do all of your journaling here, and then I thought that label, because it's blank in the middle, it could be like some kind of I don't know, like some kind of like a date or a word that then inspires the journaling around the rest of the page. I've just moved that bee down. Originally I was going to have him up there, but I might go like that because I've just spotted a word. What was it I was saying about words and books? I've just spotted a word that I'm not convinced I want to see on the page, so I'm just going to cover that up. But I can always, yeah, lovely. It's definitely a lot more neutral compared to some of the other pages we've done in the summer months, but I'm happy with that. I think bring in some of the yellow. So glue my bee down there. But as with all flying things, I like them to have their wings slightly stuck up a bit, just to, you know, it's the whole thing, gives a little bit of movement and the illusion that they are actually flying around. Like so. There we go. And my label. So this is the penultimate page. Can you believe it? I still have some other things to do in the book to finish it off, but this is the penultimate summer page, so we are definitely getting there. Okay, lovely. And then with these birds, this bird's nest, obviously we have it as a pocket, which is looking good. I have this compass, which I was thinking is going to be, you know, my tag. So we're going on the walk, so it's like we're taking our compass out of our bag sort of thing. So that will be what decorates the journal card when we come to do the ephemera. But what I do have is this here, where I've cut this from a book. It's got a bit of text there. So I was thinking about doing a word or label, but because we've got that there, it would have been way too samey on the same side together. It would have been too much. So what do you suppose we can do with some butterflies? I don't know if it will be too flyy because we've got the bees as well, so I'm just gonna have a little look-see, see what I think. I think so. I do still feel like it's missing something, but I have to remind myself it is going to have something in the pocket, which could be, obviously I did say about having that, but I could do some like floral paper with that on it, something like that, just to bring in a bit of colour. Because, you know, there is still colour at the end of summer, as we know, so I still feel like maybe it wants something down here, but I'm happy with those butterflies, so I'm going to go ahead and ink them and glue them. As I said, I was thinking about a label, but it would have been too samey. So let's do that. As I said, normally I would have left it and just let the birds do their thing, but it's really just because I had that text there. And then I was like, well, I can't just have a butterfly on its own, because then the other side looked plain. Now, because that is a pocket, I'm not going to glue that other wing down. That is going to have to fly around a little bit. But obviously, I just want to move that in a bit so it doesn't get caught on the edge of the page or anything, stick out of the book. So that's that. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe some kind of word down there just to finish that page off. So I will tell you, as I said, originally I was thinking about this heart being a belly band. Gosh, I can't speak this morning. A belly band. So it would have had something going all the way down, which it didn't need something there. But now we've gone with the pocket idea. I do feel like I need some kind of a word or something. So bring out my tray of wonders. Let me have a little bit of a hunt around for what I can find, and we'll go from there. All right, and we're done. So here we go. I went with a pink label just for that pop of colour, so it didn't look completely neutral. I still wanted some colour for summer. I think this is a journal boat label. And I've decided that I actually really like this journal card with the flower peeking out over the top. I really like that. Again, it gives it a pop of colour. So I'm actually going to leave that as being the ephemera, just a very simple journal card. And I did my tea ring and tea splodging stenciling just in the sort of plainer bits, just to tie it all in with the rest of the project, the rest of the book. And that's that. That is that page. I told you it would be quick today. So that's that one. So the only job now left to do is I need to run some glue down the centre just like we have been doing and glue these pages together, which I'll do in a moment. And then the final summer page is this one with this little fun triangular situation going on. So I'm going to do something fun with that. So I hope that I will consider seeing you on the next video. I hope that you will stick around to see the final summer page in my altered book. For now though, I'll say goodbye and thanks so much for watching. See you soon.